right. Earlier at the start of the broadcast, if you just joined us, I talked about a story out of the National Post, the big national paper of Canada, out of Ottawa, their capital. Becoming disabled by choice, not chance, transabled people, learn that term. Your children will be taught about it. And they'll come to you and say they want their fingers and arms chopped off and legs chopped off. I'm not joking. And if you don't let them, the state will hover in and say that you're abusing your children and will take them from you. This is actually what I'm predicting 10 years from now, maybe even 5. Becoming disabled by choice, not chance, transabled people feel like imposters in their own fully working bodies. And it was about, I don't know, 12, 13 years ago. I don't buy tickets to South by Southwest, but I was invited to go down as media and see some of the films. So I just randomly had a pass I'd been given, and I went in to one that was about, I'm forgetting the name of it, but we were able to Google it and find it, a nugget porn. Basically is one of the terms used, but it's the people that have their arms and legs chopped off. I mean, you never stop. And then they usually commit suicide after that because they're into death, they're into being helpless, and it's a sexual perversion that comes out of the, quote, gay community. But nothing can be perverse out of the gay community, I'm sorry. So it's the new wondrous thing. They also shoot each other with .357 Magnums and blow big holes in each other, and then try to mutilate the wounds so they're big and ugly, and then do things with the wounds. But notice the rollout of it is it's a wonderful new thing. There are these poor victims, and they just have the opposite of the syndrome where you can't feel your arms or your legs. Well, here, they just don't feel connected to them. They just don't feel like they're part of their body. It's oppressing them, and they're transabled by becoming disabled. They also, for 20-something years, have bug chasers. Men who go around wanting to get HIV or hepatitis. And then you have the men that give it to them, where men will go. I mean, you can read the Rolling Stone article about it and others, and have like 50 guys line up and do you-know-what inside of them, hoping to catch some diseases. And then if you don't like that and don't want your 5-year-old taught about it, again, you hate the gay people. And this is where decadent, collapsing societies go. And then they sell tolerance, and then it never ends. It goes on to say, becoming disabled by choice, not chance, transabled people feel like imposters in their fully working bodies. Again, parental discretion is advised. This is part of the Humanities series to learn the wonderful humanities. When he cut off his right arm, very sharp power tool, a man who now calls himself One-Handed Jason let everyone believe it was an accident. But he had for months tried different means of cutting or crushing the limb that never quite felt like his own. Training himself on first aid so he wouldn't bleed to death, even practicing on animal parts sourced from a butcher. So see, you're not Jeffrey Dahmer-esque. No, you're an artist. My goal was to get the job done with no hope of reconstructing or reattaching. See, he should have gone and helped people in charity. He should have gone and climbed mountains. He should have joined a boxing club. But no, how much you want to bet this guy, Mommy, did everything for him? My goal was to get the job done, and it goes into him. It's the dark side of rights inflation, why activists should reject the impulse to frame all grievances as human rights. And that's because they are now pushing it as a right in Germany. East German sex spies tunnegate and crack everything you need to know about Canada's scandalous history, and then it breaks it all down. It says his goal was to become disabled. Now, they're rolling out a cutesy case for you and then posing it like, should this be a new right and a new cool thing we pay for, like sex changes? Hey, you want to get a sex change? That's your issue. I shouldn't have to pay for your elective medical procedures, like a nose job. I don't want to pay for your daughter's nose job because she wants to look like a Barbie doll and wants to chop her noble nose off. Understand? Oh, my gosh, you hate women. No, I don't. I'm sick of paying for everything. Now, when we come back from break, Matt, here in the office, I was back in the back having a debate with folks saying, no, this is not something where people just don't recognize their body parts. That's the cover. This is actually a sicko movement that's into mutilation. It's generally sexually connected. And Matt goes, oh, yeah, I knew guys going to college that were into nugget porn. And I went, that's right. That's how the people make money on the side that are when you live in a box with your arms and legs cut off and your perv daddy, that's what they call him, I guess, comes over and does things to you and then puts diapers on you. And I'm sorry to talk like this, folks, but we're not going to let them roll this out up front as cute and fun to sell it to our kids, just like they sell Prozac and Ritalin. We're going to destroy it up front. I want to talk about a perfect storm today. And the perfect storm I'm going to discuss is a really good perfect storm. I have prayed, literally, to be able to find a high-quality gun sponsor that is affordable and that is extremely well-made and effective that I can promote to my audience. About 6 months ago, we get contacted by Head Down Firearms, hdfirearms.com. Low cost compared to competitors, super high quality, super lightweight, super accurate, and the experts salivate over it and love it. Their entire line of 5.56, 308, and their accessories are simply amazing, and it's designed by battle-hardened vets that know what they wish they would have had. You need to go to hdfirearms.com today, or you can visit headdownproducts.com. That's headdownproducts.com. You probably have never heard me talk about nugget porn or transabled. That's not the name of it. By the people that practice it. That's the new politically correct term to push it. But we're covering it now because we have to, because they're getting ready to roll it out worldwide as the new perversion. Because once they can destabilize your central nervous system to accept things that aren't natural, the globalists can push their other agendas once you don't have any morals or murring. This is a scientific takeover plan. Oh, you're just not cool. You don't like to chop your fingers and then your arm off. And, you know, you don't think it's sexy to cook your own arm and eat it. That's also part of this whole genre. Out of Hellraiser, out of Dante's Ninth Circle. But then they want you, and that's what the Canadian News is reporting on, the National Post, they want you to pay to have their arms and legs cut off. That way it's done properly and done by professionals. Now, in case you think I'm lying, as every time I mention this, people don't believe me, we'll put it on screen for TV viewers. Rolling Stone on bug chasers. Just type in men who are in search of death. Cover story. Rolling Stone, 2003. I covered it 20 years ago. People who want to get HIV, who want to have solidarity with folks that have it, and then they get it, and then they become givers. And people sign contracts so they can't be indicted because it's a felony to obviously give somebody HIV if you know you've got it and you don't tell them. And it's like, please give me the gift. Oh, it's so trendy. This is what happened in every society that got decadent, where there was too much food, too much water, too much freedom. 6 societies form that demand unlimited everything from the productive, and then the productive that, you know, women who never get tired of their husband, men who love their wives or love their girlfriends, people that, you know, I never get sick of a Dos Equis lager and cheese enchiladas or fajitas. I know folks that are like, I got to go have escargot, or I got to go have carzu marzu, you know, that rich people pay $1,000 a plate for in New York. That's maggots in rotting cheese. I've been in New York restaurants when I've been up there, and well-to-do folks have invited me out to dinner, and I've seen carzu marzu on the special little insert. By the way, they got illegal stuff in New York that's human bones out of catacombs that they fly in out of Italy, the mafia does, I forget the name of it, and they boil it in a delicious soup. You know what? I don't think I'm going to have the human bone soup. You know what? I'm not going to have the maggot cheese. I think I'm going to have the veal piccata. And then folks are like, oh, that's a baby cow. How evil of you. The point is, see how the mindset is twisted? Where anything sick or degenerate is automatically elevated. Oh, you just don't get it. Oh, no, I get it. I get it. It's not like I lived some repressed lifestyle growing up in Dallas, Texas in the 80s and 90s, and then coming to Austin. It's not like I haven't been around the block. I understand all this stuff because I've seen people I've known that have gotten into it. It's like the drug culture, the self-destructive culture. That's what this is about. That's why gay men have the lowest life expectancy of anyone in the world. In the world. People say, oh, it's because it's not accepted. It's because they're not liked. No. It's because it's a nihilistic party culture on average. On average, it's destructive. And I'm not here judging anybody. You don't freak me out, two guys together. It's that I know that it's unhealthy in the spectrum. Now, are people that are into that lifestyle on average higher IQs? Do they create a lot of stuff? Absolutely. Is there some nice things about that whole destructive culture? Certainly, it has some manifestations that are positive. But in the whole, no. Alone, mean, treating each other badly. Incredible promiscuity. It is death. The wages of sin are death. What was that headline from Rolling Stone? In search of death. In search of death. Wanting to get HIV, wanting to get hepatitis, wanting to chop your arms and legs off, wanting to live 20 years. I was reading this one article about one of these guys living in a box. They like to be walled off in a box except when their owner shows up to change them and feed them and rape them and you know, all the rest of it. And then usually the abuse gets bad where they'll be left for days. And then they beg and wiggle around in their own excrement. I'm sorry to be gross, folks, but let's just get all this out in the open. And then beg to be taken care of. And then finally, their lover, close quote, leaves them to die with flies all over them in their closet, in their basket, in their cardboard box. And now taxpayers, just like I've got to pay for abortions if I live in Travis County, Austin, Texas, chopping babies up is liberal and trendy. Well, now chopping your own arms and legs off is trendy. And so if you want to know what's hot at UT or what's the big deal at colleges around the country, let's bring Matt on. Recently graduated from college, worked in radio and TV, works here in our office. And I was having an argument back there explaining that this is not really an argument. I was saying, no, the media selling this is they just don't like their limbs. In the main line, where this came from, is homosexual men wanting to hurt their bodies and wanting to catch HIV and wanting to commit suicide and wanting to be hurt. And it's incredible. It's mentally ill. I mean, if a heterosexual went out and started hacking themselves with a hatchet, they'd be thrown in a mental institution and should be. But no. When an artist does it, you know, Vincent van Gogh was insane, folks. Probably had lead and mercury poisoning when he cut his ear off and gave it to the prostitute for payment because she wouldn't give him anymore because he was in love with her. Now, you can call that romantic, but it was still mental illness to take a razor blade and chop his ear off. Was he a genius? Absolutely. Was he mentally ill? Absolutely. Matt, tell us about nugget porn.
Well, you know, once you get into nugget porn, there's really no going back. Or at least I hear.
But again, none of this exists. We're just being hateful. Without getting into too much detail, but we have to expose it so folks know what to look out for out there as this is being pushed. What do you make of them rolling it out in the news that it's the new, cute, cool thing to do?
Well, I don't know what to say other than it's a great conversation starter.
Have you ever seen nugget porn?
Can I admit that on air?
If you want to tell the truth or don't. I mean, you told me earlier you haven't.
Yeah, no, it was a big joke, but it is a great conversation starter. People think you're very progressive, and nuggets are people too, and so they should be admired.
Okay, so you're being serious. Describe what university you were going to and the worship of the nuggets.
So up at Illinois State, you could catch my roommates or I running around just, you know, messing with people. But yeah, it is a real thing. And it is kind of sick.
Yeah, you guys were just joking about it because it was, or they were joking about it because it was sick, you told me, but there were folks that were into it. And are you serious that folks were saying this was in the trendy circle, something that was to be admired? Because I guess it's called a nugget because there's no arms or legs. It's more like a snail.
Yeah, it's a sick slang term, and you can find it on answers.com. I'm searching for it right now.
Well, the issue here is this is real. How prevalent was the discussion or the viewing, if you know, of nugget porn?
Well, it's obviously got a niche. It's a pretty well-known name, and it's right here on Answers. And so they're saying...
Nugget porn is when a person has no legs or arms, a nugget, and the porn, but is self-explanatory. It generally very disturbing seeing women of such disability put through such things they are normally forced to take part in these films. Yeah, it's basically horrible rape porn. In my view, I've never seen it because I will not look at such things, that it's about people that want to see oppression. Another big sexy thing that we covered a few years ago, according to these people, is the torture of animals. Beautiful women stomping on kitty cats, stomping on puppies, sometimes stomping their brains out. I will not watch it, but I've read the criminal reports of folks indicted for doing it to make the porn. In fact, guys, will you look up what the name of torturing animals in porn is? But it's also super trendy. And the liberals say this should be accepted when it's sexual because it's a form of art. And again, I guess that would be torture animal phobe. I'm against raping children, so that would be that'd be a pedophobe. And I guess if you're against paying for or having people chop their arms and legs off, I am a transabled phobe. Would you say that you're a transabled phobe or a nugget phobe, Matt?
Yeah, I'm not really into that. That kind of freaks me out.
All right. Well, anything else you'd like? But, I mean, you're serious that up there where you went to college, there were some people that actually were like, what? Don't you dare joke about this. This is super elegant. Or were you joking?
It was a joke to us, but other people reacted a lot of different ways. There were people who, accepted it. There were people who got freaked out and would just drop the conversation right there and leave. So,
do you want to pay to have someone's arms and legs chopped off?
How are my tax dollars going to that? That
they are really pushing to have people pay for it.
That blows my mind.
Oh, it's makers of crush porn videos in Philippines sentenced to life in prison. There you go. Crush porn. A tiny kitty or puppy, you kill it. And when we ran into those commies, they were just like, I kill my kids. I love it. It's like this, I can hurt little things. I've got power. There's nothing you can do.
That might be a good question for them. If they know anything about nugget porn, they might.
Who knows? They're such wonderful students of history. Who knows? All right. Thank you, Matt. Nugget porn, crush porn. And again, folks, fighting this almost promotes it. But I've told you there's stuff a lot worse than what we talk about on air. That's some of it. And then it just gets worse. They've had famous cases in Europe. I'll have Watson write a new article just boiling it all down. In England, in France, in the Netherlands, in Finland, in just all those countries where they'll find a dungeon under some police chief's house, with 18 skeletons of 2-year-olds in it and some 2- and 3-year-olds in cages that weigh 1/2 what they should and satanic pentagrams. I mean, it's just, that's who runs things, okay? And then you look over here with all the pedophiles in Congress, this is what they're into. They look at Marilyn Monroe and she's disgusting. And they think we're bad because we like Marilyn Monroe. They look at a horse or a dismembered body or a child or a dead animal, and they see beauty because they are demons. Jimmy Savile, best friends with the Prince of Wales. Highest level security clearance in the royal family. Had necrophilic sex in the hospitals with the dead children, and had a secret torture area for the little girls in the charity he ran. And while he raped them, he would tell them that Satan was going to inhabit them and suck their soul. And now they've declared national security because they're beginning to find the dead bodies. That's who's coming for you when they get your guns. That's who wants full control. And once they get a tyranny in place, they will do it to everybody. They want to pull down everything that's good. They want to destroy basic human liberty. They want to overturn everything wholesome. They are coming. They are coming. You think it's bad? You've seen nothing. This is only the enemy scouts we've already run into. We haven't even been hit by the center of their vanguard. And they all have that crazed look of Savelle. You want to know how he looks? If you're watching us on TV, you can put that headline back up there. Celebrities' arrest could soar after horrified police discover Jimmy Savelle's secret lair. And you see that look in his face? That's the trendy liberal. Hi. Oh, yes. Ooh. I want to help kids like the Sandusky Foundation with troubled little boys and girls. And, of course, Savelle was a big anti-gun guy and a big liberal because he really wants to help you and your family. What does Melissa Harris Perry say on MSNBC? Your kids belong to us. I'll get you and your little dog, too. And when I look at these people, I can see them. I know who they are. And they've got giant masses of good police, good social workers, good people who are compartmentalized and are so good, they can't recognize what they're right next to. And they are just like the 18, 17-year-old women that would see the non-threatening Ted Bundy in his gray suit and his yellow Volkswagen going, hey, let's go have some ice cream. Let's go see a movie. You sure are a beautiful young lady. The back of his mind, I'm going to torture her for a month straight. I'm going to bite chunks out of her. I'm going to make her beg for her mommy and daddy. They're never coming. That's the music I like to hear. So you just remember that. I've studied these psychopaths. I know them, and I'm the opposite of them. I am a sheepdog 110%. I'm looking for other sheepdogs that want to take these people on and want to get in there politically with these wolves, and we will tear them down. We will destroy them. I have an instinct to nurture and build up the innocent. I have an instinct to smash the brains out of perverts, smash the brains out of pedophiles, kick their teeth in, drag them down, bring them low, throw them into the sea. Burning's too good for them. Hanging's too good for them. To quote a scene out of Heavy Metal, they should be torn into little pieces and buried alive. And if you don't have that instinct to hate predators that want to feed on innocent, you're not alive. Ah! It was an accident. But he had for months tried different means of cutting or crushing the limb that never quite felt like his own. Training himself on first aid so he wouldn't bleed to death, even practicing on animal parts sourced from a butcher. So see, you're not Jeffrey Dahmer-esque. No, you're an artist. My goal was to get the job done with no hope of reconstructing or reattaching. So he should have gone and helped people in charity. He should have gone and climbed mountains. He should have joined a boxing club. But no, how much you want to bet this guy Mommy did everything for him? My goal was to get the job done, and it goes into him. It's the dark side of rights inflation. Why activists should reject the impulse to frame all grievances as human rights and have like 50 guys line up and do you-know-what inside of them, hoping to catch some diseases. And then if you don't like that and don't want your 5-year-old taught about it, again, you hate the gay people. And this is where decadent, collapsing societies go. And then they sell tolerance, and then it never ends. It goes on to say, becoming disabled by choice, not chance, transabled people feel like imposters in their fully working bodies. Again, parental discretion is advised. This is part of the humanities series to learn the wonderful humanities. When he cut off his right arm, very sharp power tool, a man who now calls himself One-Handed Jason, let everyone believe in magnums and blow big holes in each other and then try to mutilate the wounds so they're big and ugly and then do things with the wounds. But notice the rollout of it is it's a wonderful new thing. There are these poor victims, and they just have the opposite of the syndrome where you can't feel your arms or your legs. Well, here, they just don't feel connected to them. They just don't feel like they're part of their body. It's oppressing them, and they're transabled by becoming disabled. They also, for 20-something years, have bug chasers. Men who go around wanting to get HIV or hepatitis. And then you have the men that give it to them, where men will go. I mean, you can read the Rolling Stone article about it and others. Transabled people feel like imposters in their own fully working bodies. And it was about, I don't know, 12, 13 years ago. I don't buy tickets to South by Southwest, but I was invited to go down as media and see some of the films. So I just randomly had a pass I'd been given, and I went in to one that was about, I'm forgetting the name of it, but we were able to Google it and find it. A nugget porn, basically, is one of the terms used, but it's the people that have their arms and legs chopped off. I mean, you never stop. And then they usually commit suicide after that because they're into death, they're into being helpless, and it's a sexual perversion that comes out of the, quote, gay community. But nothing can be perverse out of the gay community, I'm sorry. So it's the new wondrous thing. They also shoot each other with .357. Earlier at the start of the broadcast, if you just joined us, I talked about a story out of the National Post, the big national paper of Canada, out of Ottawa, their capital, becoming disabled by choice, not chance. Transabled people, learn that term. Your children will be taught about it. And they'll come to you and say they want their fingers and arms chopped off and legs chopped off. I'm not joking. And if you don't let them, the state will hover in and say that you're abusing your children and will take them from you. This is actually what I'm predicting 10 years from now, maybe even 5. Becoming disabled by choice, not chance.